Of PUBG Mobile Club Open Fall Split Global Finals was a rather one-sided affair, as we saw Bigetron Esports from Indonesia show us a whole new level of dominance that has never before been seen in a PUBG tournament. 5 chicken dinners to them, and more than 100 points of difference between the first place and the second place. Obviously, it shows that Bigetron Esports were playing on a whole new level and no other team could ever catch up to them. On day 2, Bigetron Esports won 3 chicken dinners in a row to get a hat-trick, and I think they might even have set a world record when they did so to become the first ever team to win a hat-trick chicken dinner in any PMCO tournament. At one point, the teams even gave up the idea of contesting Bigetron and started contesting Top Esports, who were on the second place, and they started to go and gun for the runner-up position. And they even managed to do so. At one point, Top Esports fell down to the 4th place on the leaderboards, but somehow they managed to put up a really impressive performance later on in the last game and bounced back to finish the tournaments as runners-up. One other team that did really well to cover up points and get up on the leaderboards was Entity Gaming from India. Even though they had a few rough games on the last day where they got knocked out in the first place, they did really well and managed to make a comeback to finish in the top 5. Well, that was summing up the entire tournament. Without further ado, let's get down to the business and let's see some of the best moments of the final day of PUBG Mobile Club Open Finals. So when the first game of day 3 started, that is game number 11, every team would have been hoping that Bigetron do not finish on top so that they can catch up with them. The teams that did finish on top were Orange Esports and Cloud9. Now, if you noticed, these two teams had been struggling a lot on the first 2 days, so them getting points in Erangel meant that they had a little glimmer of hope. Cloud9 were the only team coming in from the northeast side of the circle, from Yasnaya, meant that they did not have to face the pressure that all the teams near the school apartments faced, because there were way too many teams cramped up in the school apartment buildings. But even after having that little peace of mind where no other team contests them, Orange Esports were the ones who came out on top, because they had control of these little houses.
From Orange Esports to see if they can make it work. One of the players down immediately is mortal headshot by Fire, and here come the hit by spray. It's not working out for them. Viper's down as well. This is catastrophic for Seoul. More players go down. That's going to be it. I think there's only one player.
Top Esports 2 also did a good job. They finished 5th in this map, which meant that they had a chance to somewhat bridge the gap between them and Bigetron. And while game 11 on Erangel gave the teams a little glimmer of hope,
The reload hit the 22 bullets out of the chamber nearly immediately, as this could be the best play we've seen so far in the tournament. Leon and Fire, they're going to be healing up, taking their energy drinks. They don't want to take a chance, they don't want to risk it, and that's it. Orange Esports take it, nearly there from Pyra. Valiant effort, but it all goes in favor. The chicken dinner here.
Bigetron stole it all away in game 12 as they win yet another chicken dinner. At this point, one might as well just give them the trophy. Kudos to Bigetron because their strategy was near foolproof. They only took the necessary risks. To summarize the game on Sanhok, it's necessary to see the circle. And since the circle banks on the 2 islands on the west, kind of getting control of this trifecta compound is necessary, because this little compound is the only place that has bridges which connects all 3 islands. So the team that holds this compound influences all the rotations in a really big way. At first, Top Esports fought EGC here, and they sent EGC packing.
Even in real life would actually take the chicken dinner in that sense, but let's see them making so much noise here as he does come stumbling in towards the close proximity of the players, with a drop shot there from Years sends him.
After some time, Bigetron came to contest this area, and once again, Luxy and Zuxxy showed us their magic. In an all-out brawl, the Indonesian team came out on top. Contrary to last game on Erangel, where C9 made some good decisions, this time on Sanhok, C9 had some horrible decisions as they got picked apart one by one because they were so far spread apart. A great moment we got to saw was from RRQ D2E. This guy, he controlled the long bridge from the north and the south island, and he was on top of the bridge, so he got some kills over there.
There's 2 more, they're thinking, what the hell? Where the hell is he? He even has time to maybe reload it. Old boy's thinking, what the hell is going on? He's going to fall down as well, take a little bit of damage, but that's fine because he's done so much damage.
But eventually, RRQ fell because they got so caught up in a fight with Entity, they had to fight the other teams Entity, and they had to run away from the zone at the same time. And both the teams ended up falling because of that. And after that point, it was just the Bigetron show because they went on dominating everybody.
Doing all the damage, all the places. Look how stacked up Illuminate are. They may go down immediately here as Ryzen gets involved. It's now going to be Orange Esports up against the top dogs. Bigetron trying to make it more. Ryzen towards the top, and that's going to be it here. Yet another chicken dinner, $5,000 added again. Oh, it's just so easy for them. 16 years.
Miramar was a killfest once again because even though Bigetron did not win, they solidified their lead. Illuminate the Murder got the chicken dinner and they got 12 kills on top of it. So 20 points from the chicken dinner plus the 12 kills meant that they had a huge boost of 32 points. But then even though Bigetron did not win the chicken dinner, they had 15 kills, which is the highest in the game. And if they keep getting kills like these in every game, they will start increasing their points a little bit by little bit, which will make it much harder for the other teams to catch up with them.
The healing game, and RRQ Athena is still back in action. Top 3 team, but BTR lost here. Lapis will be the last one. Illuminate the Murder. It seems to be they will be the one to take the chicken, and they will.
That's it. Illuminate the Murder take it, and they are going to look very, very good when it comes to the score.
By the time game number 14 began on Wrangle, teams had pretty much given up hope of catching up with Bigetron, and that's why they decided to start contesting for the second spot instead. Top Esports were on second place, and the other 3 teams below them, they didn't have a lot of point difference, so Top Esports really had to get on now. In this game, we saw Entity and EGC fight it out on the military base right at the start, and even though Entity Jonathan got the first blood, EGC won the aim battles, and that knocked Entity Gaming out in the last spot.
Around the side, the shotgun. There goes the ball. No! Jonathan, what are you doing?
Unicorn had a worse start as well, because they got picked off one by one in different parts of the map. One of their players was down in the middle of nowhere. They lost another one in Novo. A third person was picked off by Mega Conquerors while they were rotating towards the main island. And the last player was hunted down by Bigetron in a road war.
Out of it. Bigetron. They're riding strong. Look at them go. Oh no, Coco. What can you do? Nothing. Under the pressure of Bigetron. They rattle it down.
Soul had a great fight against Queso, and it was really entertaining to watch.
Got the points. Last player. Team Queso. Marco. He's playing Ring of the Rosie's mortal up top. He's almost out of ammo, but he's going to not quite be able to do it. Marco finally falls. Soul stay alive, but Team Queso take a heavy blow.
But then the 6 circle shrank, and the teams were engaged in a free-for-all fight fest. Udo made a brave push to wipe out most of the players of Unique. C9 were busy fighting RRQ, but then Kurd Squad tried to third-party them, and even though all these teams fought really hard, none of that really mattered because Mega Conquerors were the ones who were packing the real heat. Bigetron controlled a large area towards the other side of the circle, and that allowed them to interfere in almost every fight. Even in this game, they picked up 13 kills, which means their lead got solidified even further. Illuminate were holding on long enough to secure some placement points, and Mega Esports picked up the chicken dinner win. And this was one of the decider maps, because Mega Conquerors and Illuminate the Murder, both of them overtook Top Esports to seal the second and the third spots respectively, and this pushed the Chinese team of Top Esports down to the 4th place. At that point, Top Esports were in real trouble because they needed to cover up a lot. Game number 15, Weekendy, was basically a fight between Mega Conquerors and Illuminate to win the second spot.
Now it's online as well to back them up. What a trio this is. Online finds another one, and Mega start to wrap it up. They're going to take it down. It's online. He's 24/7.
Mega, a huge team. They showed us what they could do in the prelims, and they're looking to take it back. It's been a damn long journey for them over this tournament. It's looking like they're looking towards the...
Game 15, Weekendy, was basically a fight between Mega Conquerors and Illuminate the Murder to win the second spot. The game started off with a really interesting fight. Udo and Unique were fighting from far away in their own respective compounds. And that's when Queso decided to crash the party and assaulted Udo's compound. And that turned out to be a grave mistake. Udo knocked out 2 of the players from Queso. While that was happening, Unique took that opportunity to get into their cars and flank around them. Unique were able to kill the last two remaining players of Queso, and hence Queso was knocked out. Keep in mind that Queso was in the top 3 before this day started, but now they have been getting some really bad games, and that's why Queso fell in their rankings and they dropped out of the top 3. After Queso was dealt with, Udo tried to send in Drax to flank Unique, but Drax got knocked out, and Unique out-aimed the rest of the Udo players to kill 3 of them and left only one man standing from the local Malaysian favorites. The 6th circle was full of interesting fights, and it was great to see Entity bravely aggress up the hill to challenge the remaining of the Team Unique players. Entity even had some great utility usage, using grenades and molotovs to get 2 free knockout kills. Kurd squad was on top of the hill, and since they had the vantage point, they decided to join in on the firefight to just rack up some kill points. Luckily in this game, Top Esports brawled against Bigetron and they were finally able to kill Bigetron as a revenge. But even though Top Esports exacted revenge from Bigetron just to satisfy their personal rivalry, both these teams went out pretty early, and since the top 2 teams were out, it meant open season for the other teams. Illuminate the Murder won the chicken dinner.
He's able to get all the way to second. Beautiful stuff. Punching the air at the end of the 15th match. Looks to the east. Illuminate. Shine bright.
Fire, illuminate, they go hand in hand to the death, but it's a peaceful victory for them.
But great props to Entity Gaming for staying out of the play zone for so long and staying alive, finishing in the 3rd place. Fire from Orange Esports too did a great job of securing a lot of kills and getting his team to the 2nd place. After the Weekendy game, Illuminate the Murder were the ones who stole the 2nd spot from Mega Conquerors. In the overall leaderboards, Mega Conquerors was 3rd, and then Top Esports was still trailing behind in the 4th spot. The last game of the tournament delivered everything that we could have expected out of a grand final. Illuminate the Murder were in 2nd place at the end of that previous Weekendy game. And if they wanted to stay up on top in the 2nd place on the leaderboards, they needed to perform well in this game as well. But guess what? They lost 2 of their players right at the beginning to Orange Esports. And with only 2 players, it's difficult to hold on to that 2nd spot, especially when Mega Conquerors and Top Esports are gunning for that position. Soul, on the other hand, truly entertained us all with some brilliant fights. Udo engaged them outside of Severny, but Soul managed to trade frags really well, and Clutch God stepped up, showing us exactly why he's called the Clutch God. They eliminated Udo Gaming, the local favorites, and that's how Soul got some more points for themselves. The other Indian team, Entity Gaming, stepped up and proved their mettle against the clear winners Bigetron Esports. Just outside of Yasnaya, Bigetron challenged Entity Gaming to a fight using the ridgeline as cover, but Ghatak, with some impressive in-game leading, flanked Bigetron Esports from both the sides and eliminated Bigetron right off the bat, and they were able to rack up some points and kills for themselves.
And this is what we praised them for at the beginning of the global finals, the positioning, the movement, mentity. It's clean.
16th place for Bigetron, but it matters not a jot. They're still...
Coming back to Team Soul, Mortal hit a really impressive Kar98 knockout shot to a player from Top Esports right away.
A mega game. And with BTR out of the running, there is potential to do very well without being immediately dunked upon.
Top Esports take a heavy knock, and I don't think they...
But then their more immediate concern was Unicorn Gaming, who were very close to them just across the road. As soon as one of the players from Unicorn got a knock onto Mortal, they rushed.
Goes out to the side with the micro Uzi, gets one, takes down, turns it around, the drop shot's in! Ryan, you absolute animal! It's just Mortal now! He's able to save it, but what damage has been done? Hong now riding strong in the buggy, needs to come up big. Mortal around the corner, the reload's in, holds it down for Soul, he goes out wide, but no! Unicorn stay alive with one in the running. Ryan.
Team Queso, they got whitewashed by Cloud9. And riding that momentum, Cloud9 went into a compound without realizing that Top Esports were there. And Top Esports destroyed them as well. That push from Cloud9 gave Top Esports the necessary points that they desperately needed to get back up on the leaderboards. Entity played really well as they kept getting plenty of kills in the last few circles. Jonathan had 5 kills to his name, and the rest of Entity Gaming led with 10 kills. Entity and Top Esports converged upon Mega Conquerors to decimate them, and then Top Esports clutched out the chicken dinner.
This boy is still going! Standing up, it's just Yasha. Top Esports looking to take that second spot. They want to go all the way. They want to find it. Kitsune is going to go down, and Eagle spots it out. Yasha so low, and Top Esports make it happen. Headshot, boom, headshot, one after another. Eagle will take them top.
After falling down to 4th position, Top Esports, with a brilliant performance in the last game, were able to get up to the 2nd place and finish the tournament as runners-up. The clear champions obviously were Bigetron Esports from Indonesia. Well, that was it from our side, concluding the recap of PMCO Fall Split Global Finals. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel for more quality PUBG Mobile and other mobile esports content. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.